Hi, I'm Nate Flax.
I'm Noah Longworth McGuire.
And this is Talking Lion.
Talking Lion is a podcast focused on artist-to-artist conversations.
We're primarily artists, a duo called Sleeping Lion. And throughout our career as songwriters and producers, we've had the opportunity to work with so many incredible rising artists.
Talking Lion is about hitting record on the conversations we've had with our musical friends and collaborators to get a glimpse into what their life's been like and where it's going.
A few reminders before we start.
Firstly, we now have a Patreon for fans of the show to show their support and help keep the show going.
As a Patreon subscriber, not only will you earn rewards, but you'll also gain exclusive access to a chat room in our Discord server.
Here you can talk with us and even suggest questions for our guests.
Go to patreon.com/talkinglion to subscribe.
We appreciate your support.
As we mentioned, we also have a Discord server that's become a sort of community hub for Sleeping Lion and Talking Lion. We're very active on there and very eager to talk to you about who you are on the show and how you feel about the new episodes, as well as just talking about life.
So yeah, come through and you can talk with us. You can make some new friends, share your art, and share your memes.
Go to sleepinglionmusic.com/discord to join our server.
We hope to see you there.
Lastly, our face is on a shirt. We have shirts now for Talking Lion with our faces on them. If you want to wear us on your shirt, buy a shirt. It helps support the show and it shows your friends that you like Sleeping Lion and Talking Lion.
You can find these shirts on our website, sleepinglionmusic.com/store. Pro tip. Patreon supporters of the honorary Lion tier or higher will get a free shirt.
Now back to the show.
We recorded this episode with our new friend Naethan Apollo.
We first connected with Naethan after Charlie Curtis Beard connected us on Twitter, but this was the first time we got a chance to talk over Zoom.
We recorded this following the release of his new single, Hungry World.
An adept lyricist with unflinching positive sincerity, we found a kindred spirit in Naethan and discovered that we had more in common than just our names. So,
without further ado,
I'm Naethan Apollo, and this is Talking Lion.
well, hi.
hello.
Hello.
You have a little bit of gray in your hair.
I do, yeah.
Is that dyed or is that stress?
That is neither. It's a birthmark, actually.
Oh shit, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
And so it goes all the way to the roots. I can't dye it. It can't hold dye. Yeah.
That's wild. You can't see it as much because my hair is longer, but when my hair used to be short, I had a little gray patch in the back.
Right.
So we have so much in common already. We're both Nathans.
Both Nathans. Both got gray in our hair.
We're both optimists.
Yes.
Yeah.
In our 20s. Absolutely.
Where in the world are you dialing in from?
Where in the world? I am dialing in from Ames, Iowa.
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 No, have you ever met anybody from Iowa?
Iowa. That's where Slipknot is from.
Yes,
Ooh.
that is where Slipknot is from. That is like we have Slipknot, we have Ashton Kutcher. That's about it.
Well, you know, another fun thing is in Shona, the native language to Zimbabwe, where I spent a good chunk of my childhood, Iowa is no.
No.
It's a way of saying no.
See, that makes sense because anytime you ask somebody, do you want to go to Iowa? They say no.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
I want to ask like follow-up questions about Iowa, but I genuinely don't even have a point of reference. I feel bad. I feel like
You've got
it's
the big
fine.
arch. There's the big arch in Des Moines. That's all I know.
Isn't that St. Louis?
I might be.
There's a big arch in St. Louis. We have like a cool looking bridge with lights on it.
Yeah,
in
that's what I'm
Des Moines.
thinking of.
The arch of St. Louis.
I mean, there's arches all over.
We passed it. We drove through St. Louis.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
That whole trip was a fever dream. I might be thinking of the bridge. I'm thinking of an arched structure on the Wikipedia page, which I probably was looking at because I was a Slipknot fan. That was literally my introduction to Iowa, was being a Slipknot fan. I'm like, what is this random state?
It is the most random state. Anytime a movie's like, let's make this person from the middle of nowhere, it's Iowa. Or Ohio. You know? I mean, maybe this is a shock compared to the music I make, but I'm not a huge Slipknot fan. But major respect to Slipknot.
He's like, I don't know if you guys listened, but I played the ukulele. I'm not.
Well, I don't know. Actually, listen, I would recommend, if I could recommend a Slipknot song, if you maybe haven't heard it, I would recommend Spit It Out from it's either their first record or their very first mixtape.
Spit It Out?
Back, like in their very early, like this is early, like peak nu metal. It was, because Corey Taylor is like a big hip hop fan.
Right.
And this is like, I mean, obviously a lot of it is like screaming vocals, but like this early stuff, there's a song called Spit It Out that I know all the words to. And it is
and he's going to perform it
now. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that for my own dignity, but I would recommend listening to it.
A weird fun fact is that my name, before I was Naethan Apollo, I called myself Zix, which was XIX, which is 19 in Roman numerals. But every time you looked up XIX, all you get is a Slipknot song called XIX.
Oh, interesting.
It's all connected. This goes all the way down.
It goes all the way down. That's so funny.
It's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy. How did you first get into music? Like, where was the music bug, and did your folks play all that biographical info?
Yeah, so I am a first generation musician. I got into it. It's not like anything romantic or anything like that. I started lifting in high school, and I come from a small white town. And so people, when you start lifting, they play like Eminem and Tech Nine on the speakers in the gym. And so, because we had like a high school gym. And so if you know anything about those guys, they go really fast. They're known for the lyrical ability. And so that's what actually got me into it, is I started learning these fast raps. Then I started writing my own fast raps. Then I started making like hip hop music. And now we've transformed into this more like indie love song sphere that works a lot better than what I used to be doing. That's how it started, was lifting, because that's what introduced me to hip hop music, was lifting. Because before that, I was raised on classic rock, and so I didn't know anything about hip hop at all.
Which I think what's so interesting about your style, like I'm sure you get the Hobo Johnson comparison and whatnot, but I feel like
absolutely.
I'm going to dive into how I feel about your music because I fucking love it. Shout out to Charlie Curtis Beard for connecting us on Twitter.
Shout out to Charlie Curtis Beard.
I didn't know your music. And then he's like, you guys should be on a podcast. I'm like, I should probably listen to you before having you on. But like, I was actually like, yes, come on. And then I listened because I'm like, I trust Charlie inherently. But I think what I think is so interesting is that, and we talk about it a lot on the show. We definitely talked about it a lot more when we first started 2 years ago. Was that we've sort of hit this sort of break point in irony where the only place you can go past irony to get, the same kind of commentary that irony used to be is by taking it over the crest of irony into the world of sincerity. And I think that what I really love about your music, which I think that, Hobo Johnson does like kind of crest on as well, but I think that like you take it even just a step further where there is humor and there is like a character in the way that you present your pieces, but it is like dripping in sincerity in each space. And because of that, you're not necessarily locked into any kind of genre constraints. Like you have things that sound a little bit like R&B, even like Hungry World, like the new song that you just put out. There's like, it reminds me of the Pixies. Like it reminds me of like Hey. And I think that that's something really cool about your background is that it's like, it does feel like in a way that goes even further than we often see is just combining all of these things in our pop culture, but tying it and gluing it together with like a very genuine sincerity.
Yeah. I've never seen someone go so in detail about my music that wasn't me. But you're absolutely right. And
welcome to Talking Lion, baby.
I'm just
a podcast for artists by artists.
Love
Let's go.
I'm just now realizing that people are more here for the genuineness of the lyrics and the context behind them, as opposed to the genre. Like I released Hungry World, which is completely different to anything else I've released before. My biggest song is a spoken word ukulele song. I'm realizing that people are here for what I'm saying, not necessarily the sound and the way that I say it, which is cool. It's super cool. I'm grateful to be able to be genreless if I want to be.
And it also, I think one of the things that, apart from like the writing, there's this, I was watching this Louis Bell interview and he said this thing that kind of stuck with me about how like a good artist should be like a pool of water where you can see all the way to the bottom. An interesting way of putting it, especially as a vocalist, that you're looking for like complete clarity, that you should be able to see completely, like that there should be no like cloudiness or muddiness in, you hear that person's voice and you're like, I know who that is. And what I love about your music is you have a very distinctive, vocal delivery, and that's just part of a very strong brand. And I think that your personality and your vocal that's like arguably one of the most important parts of building an artist project. And you have such a strong brand inherently with how you use your voice that the music around it could kind of be anything.
Well, and
it would be consistent.
How hard it is to pull off what it is you're doing, which is that you come on and it sounds like you just hit play and you're going for it. But like anybody who's in this for a second knows how fucking hard it is to sound like you haven't put, and how much effort it takes to sound like it's effortless. Or sound like you're just like casually talking to this person. I mean, we could get into it. Like let's talk about
you got it. Like, well, let's talk to you for me, because that's like the most common one that people listen to. That higgledy-piggledy conversational flow throughout the entire thing, you would think it'd be like, just it sounds effortless. It is effortless. The amount of takes that I had to do to make that song sound natural, but also put together, but also flow. It's uncanny. It's uncanny.
And I mean, it's indicative of the TikTok world too. Is like, you've got people who are doing 50 takes to make it look like they've heard it in their car for the first time.
Right. Yes.
It's like, and it's this weird thing that we balance of that we are being insincere in the delivery of, okay, that this is off the cuff, this is whatever, but there's a sincerity to it past that point. Like there is a sincerity to people getting hype about their songs in the car, even if it is a lie that was the first take of that.
They still want to, perhaps when they first did it, they did have that reaction, but now they want to produce a piece of content that captures that moment and share it with people. And in order to make that as best as possible, there's a facade that needs to be put up sometimes.
It is editing. I mean, I edit these podcasts, and my philosophy in editing the podcast is, what can I cut out to get to the truth?
Right.
Like, how do I make the truth clearer, even if it makes somebody sound like they came to a conclusion maybe faster than they did.
Right.
Or, like, you guys don't know that I'm currently eating pork belly. I got yakitori in my lap, and you're not going to know it because I'm going to cut out me chewing between questions. But and so I'm lying to the audience, but it's so that you're not focusing on me eating pork belly. We're focusing on Naethan Apollo, which is why we're here. You know? But I mean, I love that song. One of the things that I talk about a lot on the show, and a frustration, almost a war, I feel like I'm fighting, is I'm a lyricist. Mm-hmm. Like, that is, in a session, what I find to be my strength. And what I'm always fighting for and urging for is a lyrical through line and a lyrical consistency, and more than anything, a lyrical cause and effect.
Right.
I get really frustrated in pop music when you've got these lines, especially in a verse, where it's like one line and then another line that's like not really related, and then another line that's not really related.
Yes.
And I think that what I really love, and I think we have a lot in common, is the way that you just like take each line that you've written literally and just run with it. Like, I'm gonna read. I very rarely do this on the show. I'm gonna read a line from To You that our minds were blown. The line is,
"And if I had a shiny nickel for every time I missed you, I'd use them to buy the moon, then sell the moon to North Korea, then use all their fancy missiles to blow craters in that moon until it spelled out our initials."
That is nuts.
Yeah.
Because each part of that, like, maybe like a solid lyricist would have like that first half, but to take it to North Korea, like to take the literal nickel line, make it literal to the moon, take that and make it literal to North Korea, and then have it finally land on like a beautiful sentiment. That's fucking hard.
Yeah, no, that's
special.
This is an amazing podcast, by the way. This is incredible. Especially that you just now learned about me and you're picking this stuff out. Let me talk about this for a second. That line is the line that made the song go viral on TikTok. It was that line. And I set that to be the starting point because I knew it was a banger. That line the song took me like a couple days to write, like maybe like 2 sessions to write. But that line took like 2 hours to write that line because the rhyme scheme is just unheard of. I mean, I wish, and there's no way to see it unless you visualize, and I can try to break it down if you'd like, but there's a point where I'm like, if I had a shiny nickel, that's the rhyme. For every time I missed you, we've rhymed once in the first bar. I'd use them to buy the moon. That rhymes with nothing. Then sell the moon to North Korea. Still rhymes with nothing. Then use all their fancy missiles. Okay, we're back. To blow craters in that moon until it spells out our initials. Like, it shouldn't work. It goes so long without rhyming. But it's still, I don't know. It took a long time to figure out. It took a long time.
Well, we talk about rhyming. We talk about rhyming and rhyme scheme in terms of like satisfaction, and about how as long as you're getting layers of satisfaction, then it doesn't matter what's rhyming or not rhyming. The problem is when you are expecting satisfaction and you don't get it, you need to then like make sure you're giving somebody the delayed gratification, or you could be over satisfying somebody with an AAA rhyme, or like an A B. Like what I love about internal rhyme schemes, or like fun little emphases here, or like sub rhyme situations, is that you do wind up running into these areas where you're having these mini moments of satisfaction. So even if like the ends are slant rhymes, or even if the ends aren't working as rhymes, like, or if you've dropped a rhyme altogether speeding because fuck the cops, the end of Smoke Signals, Phoebe Bridgers. Like all of our problems, I'm going to solve them with you riding shotgun, speeding because fuck the cops. Like, it's so good because she's giving you so much rhyme scheme that she doesn't need to give you that last one.
Right.
She's like, you got all the satisfaction that you
it would
want.
be cheaper to give you that last one.
Yes, exactly.
The song, it works because of the fact that she knows exactly where the oversatisfaction goes. I feel like your lyrical philosophy, I feel like you and I could write a book together. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
we would be in lockstep. I really love, it's inherent to the way that you write that like there is a standard and a kind of rule that you hold yourself to, even if it's just sort of an internal sort of like subconscious thing. It's really refreshing.
Well, it's an example of that thing of you learn the rules to internalize the rules so you can break them creatively.
Right.
Like you have it's that built-in metric of once you understand where to satisfy or where to not satisfy, you can do interesting things like that stanza that doesn't, like, if you were to put that on paper in like a lyric writing class, people would be like, I don't really know if it works, but it works.
Right.
Like it works intuitively, and it takes years of craft to build up that level of intuition to be able to land. It's like playing, non-diatonically in a tasteful way.
Right.
It's the lyrical equivalent of playing out in a way that doesn't alienate the listener. Like it's very, very difficult.
And I think my past starting with lyrical, miracle, spiritual rap, like because that's my roots, and I did that for like so long. I was doing so much, like too much, like internal rhymes, end rhymes, everything. It was just sensory overload. And because those are my roots, and now I've stripped it back and I let those moments shine when they need to, it just works so much better. And I am super jealous of people who can just say a line in a song and it works, but that just doesn't click in my head like that. I can't just say things. I need to like tell a story.
Well, and I feel very similarly. Like, we talk a lot about skin in the game in this, and I feel like a lot of how you get that is in using your real estate, right? Like using the song to tell what it is that you're trying to. I just don't like cutting corners, just because I feel like, it's 2021, almost 2022. We don't have the luxury of not knowing cliches anymore.
Right.
Like everything has been made the easy way. And I think that on the one hand, that's solid. And on the other hand, you'll have people reinventing the same easy step over and over and be rewarded for it, and that's fine. But I think that, like, for people who do feel artistically driven, it does become complicated because you need to get more specific. You need to get a little bit weirder just to make something that you haven't heard before, or to tell your story in a way that isn't like she left me, I'm sad. which has been done. I mean, in the 50s, you could have, it was different. Like, you could have just been like, she left me. I'm sad. And that was fine. They're like, whoa, you're like a lyrical genius.
Right,
like,
yeah.
That's never been said before.
That's great.
But we don't have that anymore. So we got to get a little bit more in the weeds of it. Stopping the podcast to shout out one of our sponsors, The Truffleist. Noah, you like to cook.
I do like to cook.
You're actually very good at cooking.
I'd say I'm decent.
But I think that the thing about cooking that you have taught me is that flavor is everything.
Truly.
You got to bring in little flavors that you wouldn't expect. And one of my favorite flavors is the taste of truffles.
A great flavor.
But we are so lucky to have the Truffleist as a sponsor for Talking Lion. Founded by Jimmy Coons and based in Long Island City, Queens, the Truffleist creates artfully handcrafted truffle products of the highest quality and flavor.
While their truffles are imported from the countrysides of Italy, France, and Spain, they proudly source many of their base ingredients locally from small farms and artisanal producers.
They offer a variety of truffle products, from truffle oil and truffle butter to truffle salami and honey to even truffle hot sauce.
I love truffle hot sauce.
They've also recently launched cheesesteaks by the Truffleist, so keep an eye out for pop-ups in your area. So bring the taste of truffle into your life. Go to truffleist.com. That's truffleist.com to place your first order.
Now back to the show.
Do you have a slam poetry background?
I do not, actually, which is really funny. You would think
That's
I
crazy.
would.
Yeah.
More things are popping up from my past that my mom will dig up, and she'll be like, "Yo, did you look at this homework assignment I found or something?" And she'll pull out something from second grade where it's rhyme with this word, and I write 50 things, and the teacher wrote a little note most in the class or something. It's little things where I've always been good at doing stuff like that, which is crazy to me.
I think it's interesting because a lot of this skill in your stuff reminds me of George Watsky.
Yeah, I've had that comparison before. Yeah.
And George Watsky obviously comes from the slam poetry background. And even just some of his strongest rap stuff tends to lean towards more spoken word anyway.
Right.
And it's interesting because I think I grew up on that. I grew up on Broadway show tunes. I grew up on a lot of folk music.
Mm-hmm. In
all of those things, there is a need and necessity for a lyrical through line, sometimes even more than a chorus.
Right.
What's interesting about Broadway songs is that they're made to use that real estate to say something, and there needs to be a sort of conversational through line in that space, every Broadway show song, each line needs to lead into the next one,
right?
Because it's telling a story,
right?
Yeah.
If you have random line and random line, random line, they're like, okay, so you put a random ass song in the middle of this Broadway show, which they have, but
yeah, it's been done, frowned upon.
Yeah. Actually, what's funny is I didn't even know that line in To You from me went viral on TikTok.
Well, what's funny is I saw this podcast in the calendar. I looked at your socials and I'm like, all right, I don't think I've heard of this guy. And then when I finally listened to music, I'm like, oh, it's this guy.
Yes.
He popped up on my For You page a while ago. I think it was probably that TikTok. And I actually wanted to ask you about that TikTok. Did you make that TikTok? I'm assuming you did.
Yes, I did.
Because we were talking about it earlier.
Can you describe the TikTok?
It's pretty simple, right? It's just you singing the song in your room. But I remember being captivated by the editing.
Yes.
In some way.
So I was in, everybody likes to talk about being shadow banned. I was quote unquote shadow banned. In reality, I look back and I was just making dog water content. But I was
never
quote
heard
unquote
dog water, and I love that. Yeah.
I was quote unquote shadow banned for 6 months. And I was sad and upset. And October 2019, I'd released the best song I thought I'd ever made. It was called Fallen Once Again. And it got it had the best opening week ever. It was crazy. And then I got so stuck on trying to make a better song. And I just kept on making songs and scrapping them. And then come January, I was like, you know what? This is dumb. I'm going to make a song for my girlfriend. That's what I'm going to do. February 14th coming up, Valentine's Day. We're long distance right now. I'm just going to write something from the heart. I don't care how well it does. And of course, that's the song that goes crazy viral. But all I did was the day it came out, I was playing Minecraft alone, feeling sad, missing my girlfriend. I went over to my little sliding glass door, recorded me singing the first thing, and then when it switches to then sell the moon to North Korea, I switched it to black and white and like did a little pan like I looked evil. And then it took me 30 seconds to film. I posted it, 500,000 views. And then I just started posting every single different section of the song, each one getting 500,000. And then my most viral video actually didn't happen until like a month after it dropped, where I was just singing it a cappella in my car, and that got like 2 million views. And then funnily enough, I blew up recently over these eye color ballads that I was doing, where I write eye color ballads for brown and green and hazel and stuff like that. And I like doubled my following in like a week. And I was like, these people have no idea about To You For Me. And I blew up off of another ukulele spoken word type stuff. And so I made a post about it again just in October, and it got 4 million views, and it hit a whole nother resurgence on everything. And so there's like 13,000 videos under the To You For Me audio on TikTok right now, which it blows my mind. Blows my mind. The fact that like I can't even imagine 13,000 of anything.
What I love about the existence of To You For Me is that you sign it with from Nate, and I'm like, I can use this.
You're welcome. I almost didn't put that in there because I have this other rule that I follow or try to in my songs where I want them to be able to be applied to as many people. So like in To You For Me, I'm writing it for my girlfriend. I never use she, her pronouns because I just say you every single time. I say you. That way, anybody who listens to it, whoever their person is, they can send them that song, and it's not like they have to bend it in their mind to fit their gender. It can fit for everybody. And so I almost didn't put the love Nate in there because then I'm like, oh, what? But I decided to, obviously, in the end.
For me, you did it for me.
I did it specifically for you. Specifically,
you didn't know, but now you do. It all comes around.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? People named Nate could really use a W right now, so I'm gonna toss.
Yeah, I mean, we're always looking for it. I mean, you go your whole life going by Naethan, you're gonna need some help.
Exactly. I go by Nate in real life, but Naethan just sounds more professional.
You added the E though, which I was saying, if I knew my parents could add an E, we would have had a much better time,
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people don't know the story behind the E. I've only done like one post about it, and some people know.
We get the semi-exclusive. Hit us with the story.
And so now all the fans, all the fake fans who don't know, will now be able to know. So, and this is gonna get sad. We're gonna get a little sad. It's not sad anymore for me because it was so long ago, but it is a little sad story.
That's okay.
Back when I was still Lyrical Miracle, I joined a online WhatsApp group chat for battle rappers. Okay.
Whoa.
Cool.
And I was battle rapping over the internet.
Were you freestyling?
No. Oh, I can't freestyle to save my life. No. But it was written battle raps over the internet. And in that group chat, I met a bunch of musicians. Because being in Iowa, there's like nobody around that does what I'm doing. And so I was just striving for connection with anybody. And so I met some cool people. One of them being a guy by the artist named Praeditus, Praeditus. Praeditus? Yeah. That was his rapper name. And we knew each other for like a year and a half, maybe 2. And we would he taught me how to mix and master. He would mix my songs for me. We played games together, all that sort of stuff. And for my 18th birthday, I flew out to Colorado to meet him for his album release party. And we hung out like all weekend. We made music. It was super dope. And then like 6 months later or something like that, he passed away very suddenly, which was super unfortunate. I won't get like into the details of it all, but he passed away at a young age. I think he was 22, which is the age I am now.
Wow.
And he passed away when I was 18. Yeah, that sucked. That was bad. That was super sucky. It was a terrible day. And so I didn't change my name for a long time, but I immediately got a tattoo. You got this. I mean, the podcast won't be able to see this, but I have it on my forearm here, and it says "Pray for Me," which is the last project that I helped him work on. I always did his cover art for him because I'm an art major, and so he would do my mixing, I'd do his cover art.
Oh wow!
"Pray for Me" was the last project I helped him work on, so I got that font from the album cover tattooed on my arm.
And pray is spelled with the A-E,
and
right?
pray is spelled with the A-E. Praise on my arm, yes. And so then fast forward to my success through TikTok, like 2 years later or a year later. And I was running into complications with being named XIX. There was another artist named XIX who was popping off on TikTok and everyone thought it was me. And I was like, I got to change.
The Slipknot song that really got in the way.
Yes. I was like, I got to change my name. And I was busy like tussling and thinking in my mind. Fun fact, actually, at this point in time, I don't know if you know who Ty Verdes is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But me and him were like, I mean, we still are good homies. He was like on the phone with me, giving me advice on how I could change and this was obviously before he was still in the Verizon store at this point, but he was on the phone with me, giving me advice, which I'm forever thankful for as well. He still shoots me advice here and there, which is incredible. But I came up with Naethan Apollo. And I was torn between doing the AE or not doing the AE. And I was talking with Ty Verdes, and he was like, I think you know which one to pick, my guy, just based on the way you're talking to me about it. And I was like, you're right. And so, yeah, I slapped the AE in there for long lost friend. And that is the story of Naethan Apollo, because we always told each other that we would both blow up. And then when he died, I made a promise to like the universe that I would make it for him and I'd carry his name with me. And so I literally put a part of his name inside of mine.
I'm going to tear up.
I'm literally tearing up. That is, there's actual tears.
Have we cried on the podcast
I don't
before?
think so. I'm actually crying. Wow, that is so
I mean,
special.
they say the happiest people are the ones with the tragic backgrounds. I mean, I guess but I mean, it's fine. It's fine now. Like I said, it's no need to be sad now, but that is the story behind it. And it is a sad one.
I'm also realizing too, wait, did you name Apollo because of the moon line?
I did not because of the moon line. I put Apollo because I'm a sucker for Percy Jackson and Greek mythology. And Apollo is the god of music. And so I was like, that's fitting. Let's do that.
You and J Maya got to have a chat. You know J Maya?
I do not know.
She's we've had her on the show and she's awesome, but her first 2 songs are about Greek mythology and they went viral on TikTok.
That's amazing.
That's man. Oh, that's beautiful, man. I'm genuinely speechless.
Thank you.
I got this sense listening to your music that you're somebody like me, like us, who has been dealt a complicated hand and has put in an incredible amount of work to be very conscious about what you're focusing on.
Absolutely.
I was saying last night that if I let myself be upset about all the things I could be upset about, that it wouldn't end for me, that there is so much work and so much of a responsibility to focus on the positive and the good that's around, and not in some sort of positivity, negativity. I'm from New York. I don't necessarily go full on in that space.
Right.
But there is, I find a responsibility in what we choose to focus on, and especially the good we choose to focus on. And in that space, I want to talk about Sightsee.
Yes.
Which when I DM'd you about it, you said it was an underrated song.
It is, yeah.
When I heard Sightsee, especially today, and it's been a tough week, I cried. I was really moved by what you were paying attention to, and
thank you.
How sacred you made the sound of throwing out the trash, and and how sacred you made these small moments, and also just how beautifully you were able to articulate what it feels like to be in this stage. Again, I'm quoting a line which I never do on the show, but I really I snapped. Poetry snapped in my car to
I'm looking forward to my future. I got someone to be. I'm a nobody, yes, but nobody is me. And on the way I'll stop to sightsee.
like that is it's just Has anybody on the show seen me speechless or cry? I mean, this is a very special episode, man.
I'm so flattered by you got to understand, I make music to make people feel better. And I feel like everybody thinks like nobody knows what I'm going through and nobody knows like what I'm trying to do. And then I try to make songs to help people, like call them out specifically. Like, I know what you're going through. Listen to this sort of thing. Or just look at the world around you. Like, I feel like sad music is so popular. And I'm so tired of hearing breakup songs and songs about cheating and songs about all this negative stuff. I'm like, I feel like we're forgetting that the world is still a beautiful place, you know?
And I think it's so hard to do that. And I'm going to be straightforward. It's so hard to do that, especially in our cynical time and our ironic time that is sincere without being corny.
Right.
Like there is I think what blew my mind in our world of corniness, in our world of cringe, in our world of cynicism and self-referentialness and the literal metaverse, that you have somehow managed to be positive without at any point it coming off as corny or cheesy or whatever. It just sounds like somebody who is like trying to enjoy, their breakfast. Somebody who's just trying to enjoy like the couple minutes they have in their car to finish up that episode of a podcast.
Right.
That traffic affords them, like there is so much packed into it that I'm very floored by.
And it's a shame that I let the internet dictate how I feel about certain songs, because that song did so bad. It did so bad commercially, quote unquote. I think it came out so long ago. It is, as of yesterday, now it just hit 100,000 streams, which is like crazy. That's a lot of streams, but
that was me. I hit the.
It was like it took like 8 months to get there. Like it didn't do well at all. People didn't like it, which is a shame because I love that song. And it has a beautiful feature on it of Claudia Mello. And it's just a song about, because people kept on asking me, like, you write love songs, but I don't have somebody to love. And I'm like, okay, well, we all got the world around us, And so here's one for you, sort of thing.
I think it's tricky because you're right. There are songs that the way that we feel about them are affected by the performance of it ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we also forget that in a number like 100,000, we forget that that's a lot. And that's 100,000 opportunities to be the perfect song at the perfect time.
Exactly.
For somebody to feel what they need to. And so much of our responsibility is to be that, If our song gets 10,000 streams, that is still 10,000 moments when that song could have been exactly what was needed, or that one person who thought that they couldn't make sincere, happy, non-relationship music and suddenly heard somebody doing it.
Yes.
There's almost something even special about the ones that, because we see it as, oh, these songs didn't hit. But the way that I see it is, oh, these songs just connected more specifically with people. This song didn't catch everybody, and it wasn't supposed to.
That's a great way to look at it. And I blame my mind for a lot of these things. Like, I have ADHD really bad. So the minute I hit, the first time I hit 1 million, every time after that, hitting 1 million didn't hit the same. I felt it at that point. I've experienced it, and now everything else I'm desensitized. And so, man, I hit 12 million on a YouTube video, on a TikTok, on the Brown Eyes Ballad TikTok. And now I'm regularly getting like 200K, 500K, which are these insane numbers. And I'm sitting there like 200K, that one didn't do as good. And I'm like, it's so terrible. And so I don't want to come off like I'm not grateful. I've been making music for 5 years. I was always thankful for everything. Like 1,000 streams is exactly what you said, 1,000 opportunities, 1,000 people that needed to hear whatever you were saying. And so I don't want to come off as ungrateful I know we're talking about these crazy massive numbers. It's just so easy when you're actually in it to become desensitized, to become used to success, or to be expecting more. And then when it doesn't happen as an artist, you kind of get down on yourself, which is why I feel like I always think that I'm doing terribly, even though in reality, my growth throughout this year has been insane.
Well, and it's the truth of the matter is it's like anything else. We are unfortunately these monkeys that are programmed to adapt, and part of adapting is making sure that if a bad thing is happening consistently, it doesn't break you. But also if a good thing is happening, you are reacting the same way. You know, when we got our first playlist, years ago, and our first 1,000 streams in a day, we were mind blown. Like I remember we walked around our dorm for 2 hours,
so excited,
just so excited, talking about what it means in the future, and like celebrating it and all this whatever. And now we get 3 times that or 10 times that in a day, and we wouldn't even know, because we don't even look at it. We don't even recognize it as an achievement, anymore. And it's just, it's like when you're, if you get into a bar underage, it's an exciting event. If you get into a bar, if you go to a bar every day as an adult, you got a problem. And you're like,
I was thinking about this recently because I on this last New York trip, I got really into playing 2048 again. And what's funny about that game is when you first download the game, the goal is get 2048. And when you get 2048, there's a fanfare and it says, hello, you did it. You achieved the goal. But then it says, hey, your next goal is get 4096. And then every time after that, you get 2048, nothing happens. There's no fanfare. There's no celebration. There's no rush of dopamine. It's just, oh, I already did that. I already accomplished that. And the number just keeps going up. The goalpost by which you get a little fanfare that says you accomplished something just keeps going up. And it's completely arbitrary.
I mean, for what it's worth, you can get tired of sex.
Yeah.
We are biologically programmed for that to not exist. but I mean, you give your monkey brain too much of a good thing ever, and it's capable of just taking stuff for granted. I think so much of healthy lifestyle is knowing what to take for granted, knowing what to focus on and what not to focus on, and when to celebrate and when to not, and to, if there were things that you didn't take for granted that you should, you get the opposite of the anxiety attachment thing of worrying about, okay, well, when are my streams going to go down? When am I going to fail? When is it going to be over? Whatever. There are things that it's important to take for granted. You should take 200K for granted, because if it went lower than that, or if you stressed about it going lower than that every day, it would break you. But at the same time, taking 200K for granted is also comes with its own other side of that coin, which gets complicated, And
I'm a super analytical dude. So I'd be looking at my stats constantly, doing all kinds of math, comparing myself to my other songs, to my past, just to prove to my little dumb monkey brain that hey, you're doing amazing right now. Look at I'm calculating 232% growth from this to then. What are I almost need to prove it to myself mathematically that I'm doing good, which is so messed up, because too much of a good thing. I've had so many good things happen to me this year, and I'm growing so fast that I'm just anytime there's a little bit of a lull, I'm falling apart. I'm doing terrible.
And we, to put in perspective too, whenever I go to a live show, I take a video of the audience. I saw Phoebe Bridgers last week, and there was 10,000 people in the audience, and I just took a video because I'd be that's what 10,000 people look like. Next time you're upset that only 10,000 people showed up to this thing, listen to your thing. That's what that looks like.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Just to put it in perspective, and then you said 15 million people watched your Blue Eyes. I think that's more people than who watched The Bachelor this week.
Yeah. Wow.
I think that, and any historians listening, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think 15 million people is more than ever saw Shakespeare's plays live.
Wow.
And that's the thing is like we get, because there's so much more opportunity to show just such a massive platform of people now, we do forget that like it is a massive number.
Yeah.
We're being dismissive of 15 million people. If 15 million people disappeared, that would be a terrifying thing.
Absolutely.
That would be an apocalyptic event.
Absolutely. And I mean, the stuff we're talking about is, I feel like, why so many artists are sad.
Yeah. Well, and it's why I think live shows are so important too, is because, and why I almost feel so much like, I think sympathy is a strong word, but that there has to be, or had to have been, just such a strong psychological component to having things blow up during COVID and not being able to see even just a 200 cap space get sold out. Like having a song get 20 million or 100 million streams on Spotify, but not even being able to like grasp what 1,000 people in a room looks like.
Right.
And I think that disconnect, is why so many artists feel like they're not enough. I mean, I feel like I'm not enough. Like we have 30,000 monthly listeners and we have for 5 years. Right. And in my head, I'm like, we are still struggling.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And I do love sometimes I listen back to my songs and I'm like, man, I really did my thing on this. Because I make it a point to do quality over quantity nowadays. I used to just put out so much stuff. But that line of I'm a nobody, yes, but nobody is me. I love that line. It's such a great line because it's true. Like, and I'm super thankful to all of my fans. If any of you are listening right now, I love you to bits, because not a day goes by where like, I feel like I am very good about stepping back and being like, so many people, not to sound narcissistic, but so many people love me. They send me love. I get DMs every single day saying like, I love this song. You're the reason me and my significant other are together. This song made me smile for the first time in a while. This like just constant. And I'm like, you guys are awesome. I like, because you need that reassurance as an artist, because you're putting yourself like especially for my type of songs, I'm putting like a piece of my soul out to the internet and be like, please don't destroy me.
Well, and we miss like how important an individual world is. Like I think about my dad is a business coach and my mom teaches in schools. And what I think about each of them is that in the course of their year, maybe if they are like working one-to-one with people, and I don't know necessarily what like their actual breakdown is, but they're probably having a significant impact on the lives of collectively under 100 people. If a teacher takes an interest in a student, and even if they have 100 people in their grade that year or whatever, like maybe there's one or two students that they can spend that time that can make a really positive difference. I had that teacher, Noah had that teacher, everybody has one of those teachers. Right. And the way that I see it is that like, if we're the reason why an artist breaks, if we're a reason why, somebody met their significant other, if we're, the reason why somebody now knows the story of your friend or whatever, like there is like these moments where on an individual level, we are changing it. But for some reason, the teachers in our hometown are okay with the 3 people a year that they affect, or the 10 people a year, or the 100 people a year that they affect. But we can't be satisfied with affecting 10,000 fucking people a month, 30,000 people a fucking month, It's not enough for us. We're too special.
At the end of the day, it's like, I am thankful for anybody's life that I can positively affect. My mom told me I should be a therapist. And I was like, that sounds like a lot of work. I feel like I kind of do that on the daily with all my relationships already. And then I got into music. I'm like, well, my mom was kind of right. I'm making music as a therapy for people. And I have this tweet from like July 2020 that I've pinned on my profile as a reminder to me and to everybody else that says, I'll just read it. People messaging me saying my song or TikTok stopped them from literally ending their life or made them smile for the first time in a long time. Doesn't matter how many fans I have, I'm here for that. And that's like, because even if that happens to one person, that's
a
worth
huge
it.
responsibility. That's a huge responsibility. Yeah.
That's worth it. Even if I've saved one person's life, that's a whole life that I've saved. That's 80 years of experiences that I have saved for somebody. And so the bigger you get,
and all the friends they'll make, all the people they'll affect, all the people they might save.
Exactly.
You know,
I need to remind myself of that because my positivity impacts other people's lives positively. And then their lives can impact others. And it's just a butterfly effect. And it's an amazing thing.
And to anybody listening too, like that is the most extreme of cases, but like there is a nobility and responsibility, not just in saving a life, but in saving a night. You know, if a song, or maybe a conversation around a song, or the way that a song can bring down tension for people individually or together or whatever. Like if you save somebody's night, you know, maybe they're making something that they never thought they would make, and that saves a life. Maybe, you know, they're deciding that, you know what? I'm worrying too much about money and I need to worry more about enjoying my life and sightseeing. You know what? Let's go to this restaurant that we wanted to go to. We don't know the impacts of our actions, and I think we never will. And that's complicated. But I just mean to say that we don't know what small ways the world changes when we decide we want to change the world. You know?
Exactly. Yes.
But it does. It does. You know, in any way, not just saving a life, but just making a day palatable, or just reminding you what to focus on. You know.
Even if it doesn't even, you're right. It does not even have to be the extremes. That's just the stuff that gets to me the most. But like, even just you had a bad day, you listened to my song, it made you smile. Worth it. 1,000% worth it. It's what I do it for.
Pausing the podcast to shout out our sponsor, New Wave.
No, I've been drinking coffee my entire life.
You know, as a Roman, same.
As a New Yorker, absolutely.
It's our birthright.
It's our birthright. We came out of the womb drinking coffee.
Fully caffeinated.
And the thing is that we're not getting any younger.
That's true.
And we're not getting any less anxious.
Oh, man, that's true too.
I'll say I have loved coffee my whole life, but lately it hasn't really been agreeing with me.
How so?
Unfortunately, when I drink coffee now, I just start feeling very agitated, very anxious. And I've been looking around for alternatives that don't make my heart just beat out of my chest while I'm in the middle of working. And that's how we stumbled upon New Wave. New Wave's Flow State Coffee is an organic ground coffee meant to lower anxiety, improve brain function, and support creativity. With L-theanine and raw cacao, Flow State Coffee is meant to feel like a cup of hot chocolate or tea while giving the energy of coffee.
And now, through Talking Lion, you can try a couple cups of your own.
If you go to their website, newwave.co, that's N-O-O wave.co, you can use the code BrewingLion for 10% off your first order. We hope you get a creative boost and find your flow state.
Now, back to the show.
I appreciate the things that you're paying attention to, especially in Sightsee. You know, it's just, there are all these little details, all these, I think that it is too easy to just kind of let yourself forget about like how beautiful all of it is.
Yeah.
And especially when you're reaching for a goal, it gets really challenging because you see, you know, friends pop off or this or that or the other thing. And you think, well, maybe did I waste that time? Have I not gone anywhere, whatever? And then when you really start to think about everything that you've done in that time,
Right.
all the ways that you've grown and changed and whatever, there's no such thing as wasted time. But you really got to focus on it. You really got to like set your bar. Like you have control over your bar. Like if your bar is like, I am enough when I hit this bar that you have arbitrarily set for yourself, then you have extreme amounts of agency over how satisfied and fulfilled you feel.
Yeah,
you know?
that's the inner game of tennis, right? Is like this whole conversation has been like, it is enough for our music to affect the life of one person. But then you ask, then why do we want to affect the lives of
millions?
Like if we can accept that, oh, what I've done is enough, where does it come from? The voice that says, no, it's not enough, I want more.
Mental illness.
Is it mental illness? Is it society? Is it the app? Or can you frame it altruistically like, well, if I'm capable of saving one life, then I have a responsibility to save as many lives as possible.
Ooh.
That's
That's nice
probably the best way to put it.
But then, like Nate said earlier, you also got to pay rent. So if you want to have a career in the music industry, you have to do numbers.
Exactly.
And that's like, you can't ignore that.
And I'm fortunate enough to have recently hit that point where music, aside from school, I keep saying I'm a full-time musician, but I'm technically still in school.
He's a student, an art kid.
Yeah, I'm an art kid.
You got the primary colors on your sweater, my guy.
Exactly. I'm fortunate enough that music is paying my bills. And now I have such like a low standard of living. It's not even funny. Like I live off of like, I don't even know, not much. I just don't value, because it all goes into music. And so like I'm paying rent, I'm paying for my food. And now I can just focus on doing what I love, which is a beautiful thing. It's a freeing thing. And I have everyone to thank for that, because it's so corny, but I can't do it without
You can
them.
pull off corny though. You can pull off corny.
I mean, I'm the CEO of corny, so but no, it's a beautiful thing because you can't do it without all those people. And I think the reason why I keep doing it, if we're going back to motive of why do you want to keep getting bigger, if affecting a small amount of people is still enough, is because I think I know that I'm capable of affecting more. Yeah. And I do feel a sense of, even though I've never met these people that I'm going to affect in the future, I feel a sense that it is my duty to go through with that. Mm-hmm. Because what if I decide to just coast on what I've made so far, and then because of that choice to stop, I don't help all these people that needed it in the future. And so I don't know. Yeah, that's the way I see it.
No, but I mean, we talk about that, and of course it's in the abstract, but we talk about that constantly. Mm-hmm. You know, and my ego will take the nutrients it needs. You know, we gotta feed the beast somehow.
As much as people probably somehow don't like mentioning it, I feel like almost every major musician has to be a little bit of a narcissist. Like you have to love yourself unconditionally in order to be able to present yourself as lovable to others,
and believe that somebody's going to care about your bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. That's the thing I'm brushing up against as we're talking about this. There's a part of me that's just like, we have this responsibility. It's like, well, someone else could do it.
Yeah, no, someone else could, but I want it to be me.
That's the thing we have to acknowledge. Is at the end of the day, we are making the choice. It's like, no, I feel like it's me. Like
yes.
you can't. You can't erase that.
It comes back to the thing that you're saying about capable. There is that George Watsky line, which is like, I wouldn't be doing this for a decade if I didn't think I was a little bit extremely dope at it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I'm paraphrasing it, but like, I love that line, which is like, yeah, we have spent so much time getting good at this. I talk about poker a lot on this show. And one of the things that I love from this book I just finished, The Theory of Poker, is that he says in the beginning, the reason of poker, the reason you play poker is to win money. Like, is to make money. And he said, you know, you can have people who are playing there for fun. You can have people who are playing there, whatever. When you sit down at the table, that is the guiding rule. That is the rule. What's so funny is if you play a tournament and you lose, you know, like, yeah, and there is the inner game of how to deal with losing in general. Like, that's a whole nother conversation. But there is something to the effect of like, you can't chalk it up of like, oh, I actually wasn't really there to like win. I was there just to like have a good time. Like, then you're not playing a good game. The only way you can win poker is by wanting to win. And I think that like we always sort of skirt around it as artists, but there is this sense like, yeah, I have invested so much of my life and my time and my well-being and my skill and creativity to this thing. You know, I didn't come here for half.
Right, exactly.
I came here for the whole goddamn bank, you know? Like,
I'm here so that when I go to my high school reunion in 10 years, I can go nah in their face and be like, you were wrong. I was right. Look at how successful this became.
We have essentially like donned the balaclava, taken a shotgun and a giant bag with a dollar sign on it and walked into a store. We're not going to be there like, hey, we'll take like $50 if that's okay with you. Like, we're here for the goddamn vault, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
So how do you square that with the sense of I'm just here to help people? Because that's the thing. Both of these thoughts exist in our heads simultaneously.
Well, it's about what you do once you rob the bank.
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess so.
Exactly. Steal from the rich and give to the poor. Then it works.
You open up a school to teach other people how to rob a bank.
Exactly. I feel like when you're underground and you're on the rise, it is very much that bank vault analogy. Like, we're getting to the bank, we're robbing the bank, we got to do this because we all got to eat, sort of thing. But now, and this is the case, at least that's how I see it with me, I'm living off of this. I've already robbed the bank. Everything else that comes after this, now I can focus on not robbing banks. I can focus on the actual helping people part. Until you get to that point, it is a little almost disingenuous because you're like, hey, this is to help you, but it's also for money. But now when you get to that point, then you can really focus on the message.
Well, I almost feel like I'm in the bank. I'm loving the analogy. I feel like I'm in the bank. You're also in the bank, and you're in the bank, and I feel like I'm like, everybody, hands up, give him the bag.
Yeah.
Pausing the podcast to remind you that we have a Patreon that you can subscribe to if you want to support the show.
If you're enjoying this episode, but you're thinking that you've got a burning question for an artist, or you just want to talk with us, or maybe you just want to mug with our faces, our Patreon's the way to go.
So go to patreon.com/talkinglion to subscribe.
Now back to the show. Naethan Apollo,
Yes.
are you ready for the question round?
The question round.
I'm so ready for the question round.
Would you rather meet your great-great-grandparents or your great-great-grandchildren?
Oh man. That's actually really tough. I'd probably actually say grandparents. I think I'd meet grandparents. I don't know. It's super tough. Because I'd love to go back to my great-great-grandparents and be like, hey, your bloodline became super successful or whatever. I mean, I'm not super successful, but...
You'd be like, hey, you guys could have gone to therapy and prevented all of this.
You know what? Actually, scratch that. I would want to meet my great-grandchildren because I would be able to go down and be like, look, it's me, your great-great-grandpa. And they'd be like, who are you? I'm like, you have Apollo blood in you. Use it well. And then like disappear into the shadows. You know, that'd be super cool. Send my great-grandchildren to therapy.
What about you, Nate?
Well, so my only viral TikTok, I think I got like, 1 point something million views, which is the population of a country.
Yes,
I would like to only 1 million views. Was about how I think that time travel presented in The Prisoner of Azkaban is like perfect. And how I have very strict rules about time travel. I made a follow-up video that got like 100 views about the different types of time travel in media and why all of them are wrong except for like one.
Right.
So I feel like, and there is a version where meeting my great-great-grandparents still follows the rules of time travel, but I do think that the notion that you could meet your great-great-grandchildren implies a certain level of determinism, which is my favorite kind of time travel.
Yeah, fair.
And so I think I got to stick to my guns, meet my great-great-grandchildren and be like, listen, guys, I'm sorry. Because there's no way that this didn't pass on to you.
My apologies.
I just hope that you're funny. I hope that you're kind to people. I hope that you are creative. I'm not going to be strict about the music side of it. And I hope that you're enjoying your life uploaded into the world server, the metaverse.
Well, that's my answer is very simple and very straightforward. I would like to meet my great-great-grandchildren because that's just far away enough that they're either in the metaverse or they're in Mad Max. And I want to know which way it shakes out.
Are they good swimmers? Because they're going to have to be.
Exactly.
Waterworld, baby.
It's Waterworld, baby.
Or the more scary option, because we spend so much time hemming and hawing about utopias and dystopias, that it's pretty much the same.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's the more terrifying
nothing's
option.
changed.
That it's like, oh, the cars are faster. but they don't fly yet because we decided that wasn't efficient.
The cars are faster.
Yeah.
The bad ending.
Yeah.
We go to the future and it's just like I've been to the year 3000. Nothing's changed, but the cars are faster.
Yeah, exactly.
What's something that you struggled with as a kid that you still have a hard time with now? Tell me how you haven't changed, Naethan. You haven't changed a bit.
I have never changed once a day in my life. It would probably still be, I don't know, I'm really bad at liking myself. Sometimes I like myself a lot. The main thing is like my voice, which is super weird to say, but that's what I got picked on the most for when I was younger, was my voice. And it's super funny now that that's like the selling point of my entire career is my voice. But I still sometimes have moments where like my speech impediment shows its ugly face and I'm like, man, I hate myself. So it's probably still something like that.
What is your phone background?
My phone background is my beautiful, gorgeous girlfriend. The one that I write all my love songs about.
Her name is you. To you.
Her name is you. She is nameless, faceless. No, her name is Hannah. And she is who I attribute a lot of my success to, because without Hannah, there's no To You from me. And then there's no subsequent love songs. She keeps me in a perpetual state of honeymoon phase in my mind. And without that, I would not be able to push all this positive energy out to the world.
That's really sweet. All right, Naethan, do you have a non-musical hobby?
Yeah, I made slight reference to it. I play a lot of D&D.
Nice.
Play a lot of D&D. I actually I'm new to this, but I've started DMing, which means I'm going to be a DM for the rest of my life. Yeah, it was super fun. So great. My friends, they aren't like into it, but they love playing, but they also aren't great at the game. So they need to play like level 1 characters or level 2 characters. Otherwise it'll be like too much for them.
Who's your character?
I always typically play, I've never played somebody who has gotten past level 4, but I typically try to play like, I'm very charismatic and outspoken, so I like to play that type of character. And so it ranges from sneaky little shit to big muscle guy, but either way I want him to be charismatic.
We're about a year into our campaign.
Really?
A little over a year. Our friend Mason is our DM. It's just so much fun. I'm a level 8. Right?
We're all about to hit level 9.
Wow.
We got the experience for it. We just haven't had the experience for it.
Right. We had the experience. We just haven't had the long
We hit the
rest,
number, but we still have to like live a little to get the new skills.
So I'm a level 9 rogue. His name is Waster, and he's like a little bit. He's older. He's like kind of talks like this. He's kind of. He started off as like kind of like Lorne Malvo from like Fargo.
Right.
Kind of like ruthless, killer, kind of cold-hearted person because of this made up order that he was a part of. The whole game is homebrew. Our DM is like a crazy history nerd. He was literally on Jeopardy, like nailing all the history questions. So he made like centuries worth of lore in this world.
Wow.
So I was part of this like very kind of literally like No Country for Old Men, like coin flip, doesn't matter what it lands on. You are either alive or dead. But he's sort of evolved more into a kind of like surrogate father, like almost like later stage Loki type.
Oh, I see.
So he definitely like still has like reckless tendencies, but has been punished for the recklessness on like multiple occasions,
right?
And has like significant issues with the order. So it's become an interesting. It's just been a fun character study for sure. And then Noah can describe his character.
I'm a wizard, a divination wizard who deals with the fates.
Nice.
Who's just like a kind of a slut and a glutton,
just
like a little bit all over the place.
A
hedonist. My reference was like Robert Sheenan from the Umbrella Academy, but I also got from one of the people who used to be in our campaign. She's like, you remind me a lot of the Dean from Community, and I'm like, yeah, I'll take that.
Do the voice for her.
He's got a bit of an Irish accent.
I gotta work on my accents as a DM. We just finished I created a story just for these goons because they all need to play level 1, level 2. And so I created like a little 3-session story.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was my third time ever DMing that I decided to do this. But we just finished it. And it was a pirate campaign where they went and they were actually pretending. They were pretending to be pirates on a pirate ship, and they were supposed to not be found out and all this sort of stuff. There's a whole storyline, but like I can only many.
Are we related? That is so cool.
I came up with the story all myself. I came up with everything, all the characters. I had like a crew of 15 people. They got to talk with everybody. It was super fun to do it for me because I love creative writing. I love art. I love music, obviously. And so I got to create this whole world for them. And it was just so fun. I'm hooked. I'm hooked forever.
Very natural segue. Very important question. Next question in the question round. Would you
be a
pirate?
Arr.
I love that. Would I be a pirate? Honestly, I don't think it's the job for me. Seems a little too rude all the time or really rough. I'm a super picky eater. Day one of being a pirate, I'd be like, look, guys, can we go back to shore? I need to get a McChicken. Like, it would not go well.
All right, next question is, what was the first concert you ever attended?
I think it was a Demi Lovato concert when I was like 12.
Nice. Like Camp Rock era?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was a Demi Lovato concert. First one that I went to that was like me. I wanted to go to this concert was Tech 9 in high school. I went to a Tech 9 concert, which I am so amazed that my parents let me go to because those concerts are insane. I literally saw a dude with Tech 9's face shaved into the back of his head. I'm like, the people who go to Tech 9 concerts are nuts.
Listeners, if you really want to show your support for Naethan Apollo, shave his face into the back. We will provide you with the outline because your face will be the art for the podcast. So
there you go.
True fans, you know who you are.
Exactly.
Go for it.
True fans, this is a call to action.
We know about one of your tattoos. What was your first, and what do you have any others, and what are they?
I have 2 others. They're both really basic because my first one was as basic as it gets because I didn't know. I thought I could, but I know some people just can't be tattooed. They have such a low pain tolerance. So I wanted to get something simple that I knew I would always like, a very safe tattoo. And so I got the solar system on my collarbone. Pluto included, by the way. I'm a Pluto enthusiast. And then my other one is a pocket watch on the forearm of my other arm. Very standard, clock is always ticking type beat.
Hey.
So,
next question. Can you recommend our listeners a movie, a book, and a TV show?
A movie, a book, and a TV show. Movie, if you haven't seen it, see Interstellar or Fight Club. Those are your options.
Nice.
Book, I am a sucker. I mentioned this earlier. I'm a sucker for the Percy Jackson series. I reread them recently. They still bang.
Nice.
The Percy Jackson series, there's 3 now. So there's the Percy Jackson series, there's the Heroes of Olympus series, and then there's the Trials of Apollo. Read them all. I'm not done with Trials of Apollo, but read them all. They're great. Still hold up. Certified banger.
You should call your next record Trials of Apollo.
That would be a great idea. I'll hit up Rick Riordan and be like, yo, add me into the books.
It's a concept record.
TV show is gonna have to be. I don't really watch many TV shows, if I'm being honest. I loved One Punch Man. That was my toe dip into anime, and it was great.
It's a good one.
It was an excellent little thing. So One Punch Man is my recommendation.
The show is a great metaphor for what we were talking about earlier about what happens when you reach the peak of your, hit a sort of milestone that you can get bored of.
Yeah.
One Punch Man could beat anybody and it bores the shit out of him.
Exactly.
All right, next question. Do you have a scar with a story?
Do I have a scar with a story? Yes, I do. So in Iowa, we actually made the national news for once last year because we had a derecho blow through, which is basically a land hurricane.
What?
Yeah, it's a land hurricane. I did not get injured by the storm itself, but by the repercussions of the storm. Okay, we had statewide blackouts, sometimes for multiple days for some people, depending on where you were. I had, thankfully, shout out my mom, a ton of batteries and a ton of flashlights. So everyone came over to my house and we had to go and park, and we all parked together because it's campus parking. You have to figure out where to park. There are no street lights right now because it's a blackout. And so we're walking in pitch darkness, right? I'm walking down and there's like these houses to the left with like raised lawns and cinder blocks all around the edge of their, like, to make room for the driveway or whatever. That's like just how it lines it up. And so we're walking and a car with their brights on turns around the corner. I'm essentially flashbanged. I go, ah! And then my shins clobber into the side of these cinder blocks and I collapse to the ground and I have massive skid marks from the bottom of my shin to the top of my shin. That hair doesn't grow there anymore. It got like absolutely gashed open, all because of a car turning the corner. But hey, it was super funny though, because for everybody, I was walking in the front. For everybody else, they just saw my silhouette light up, and then I fell and I was gone.
Oh my God! Wow.
I have some bad news for Iowa though, because you said that made national news. I never heard of it.
Damn. See, even when we make national news, it's rough out here.
Also, what's the name of a land hurricane? I missed it.
A derecho. Nobody knew the name of it until it happened. But yeah, Derecho. Derecho.
Okay, it's a cooking show that takes place during a land hurricane. It's called the Derecho Ray Show.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you.
Write that down.
Thank you. Yeah. That's got an internal rhyme all over it.
Wait, it's the derecho Rachel ratio?
Yeah.
Ratio.
Wow. They're derecho Rachel Ray racial ratio.
Racial ratio.
Wait, sorry, no. The derecho Rachel Ray show. Racial ratio.
Yeah,
there we go.
It. My mind is blown. Overstimulated.
Very good.
We're lyricists. It's what we do.
Speaking of being overstimulated, what are 3 thoughts you have at this very moment?
Stimulate us.
Loving this podcast. I need to take my gummy vitamins.
Fuck, me too.
And I hope my Halloween makeup doesn't look dumb.
Nice.
Who are you being for Halloween?
I'm being Beast Boy.
Nice.
I'm being Beast Boy. I got green makeup right here. I'm about to put. As soon as this is over, I'm
being a pirate, and I'm being Mono from Little Nightmares 2.
Oh, okay, yeah. Little Nightmares is actually one of the games that I didn't play. Normally, my girlfriend watches me play games, but I actually watched her play the Little Nightmare series.
And no, what are you being?
I'm being Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop. My girlfriend's named Julia.
I need to watch Cowboy Bebop. I have a list of animes and stuff that I want to watch.
Strap in.
That's what I hear.
And lastly, what are you looking forward to?
What am I looking forward to? Ooh, next year. Just all the years coming after that. I am at a point where I have no idea where I'm going to be in a year. And so it's super exciting. And so I'm so looking forward to everything that's going to happen over time, you know?
Will we be seeing you on our beautiful shores?
I hope so. I sure hope so.
I see what you did there. Sure. Hope so. You can play poker with us and Charlie.
I will absolutely clean house at poker. So.
Is that true?
Yeah. I mean, we got nothing to do out here. So we play card games.
Wow. Naethan, challenge is on. I love poker, as anybody who listens to the show knows. Challenge accepted. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Nate, it is so good to meet you. I feel like we've all known each other for like years. Like we are so bizarrely similar. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad. Thank you to Charlie for connecting us.
Huge thank you to Charlie.
We can D&D together. I hope that we can maybe make music together. Hope that we can play poker. Just want to be friends because I do feel like I like know you. It's weird.
Sometimes you meet people like that where it's like we had to have met in a past life or something. Like this connection's too easy. Like,
it's Nathan's, you know. It's Nathan's.
It's a Naethan thing. You wouldn't get it.
You wouldn't get it. Yeah, you would understand. You know. But it's so nice to meet you. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was super fun. This is like one of the first few podcasts I've done. I'm trying to do like a podcast thing for this new song and stuff, and it's my first go at it, and this is like a great experience.
For Hungry World?
Hungry World, yeah.
Anybody who's listening, check out Hungry World.
Yes.
We'll play it in the outro of the episode.
There you go.
And I love it because it does have that Pixie vibe, and it has one of my favorite lines, which is "Everybody wants glory, but nobody's got the guts."
Yep.
I
You
think
quoted
that's
that right. You quoted that right.
I think that's solid. No, man, we're looking forward to it, and we'll talk to you soon.
They all want the glory, but ain't got no guts. Chew me up, spit me out, but you won't break me. Toss me up, shoot me down, but I still don't scream. You leave me cut and kick me down just to watch me bleed. But this hungry world won't eat me.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Talking Lion.
We would like to thank New Wave, The Truffleist, and Isotope for their support of Talking Lion.
If you'd like to show your support, ask our guests your questions, talk to us on Discord, and get a shout out at the end of each episode, subscribe to our Patreon over at patreon.com/talkinglion.
Thank you for listening, and see you next time.